I think so, yeah. Good evening, it being 7 o'clock, I would like to call to order the July 2nd, 2025 meeting of the Madison Master Plan Board. What did I say? Planning Board.
That was our last meeting.
We have and I assume our new members are all sworn in, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we don't need alternates, so we don't need to elevate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, we need one alternate. We can have.
We have 1, 2, 3.
He doesn't count.
I don't count.
Well, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Donna's 5.
5.
Carl, Donna, Paul, you.
But we can have 6, so we could raise an alternate.
Sure.
Make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Nice to get to alternate.
Okay.
Second.
Oops, motion's been made and seconded to elevate Tia. All those in favor?
No,
Aye.
Aye.
Was it Joseph
it's
or?
his first
No.
time. He's got to get elevated, right?
Yeah.
You want to go?
Yes, sure,
All right.
Okay,
absolutely.
a motion been made and seconded to elevate Joseph as a full member tonight. All those in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
Aye.
we did-
Opposed? Huh?
We're recanting Tia.
What?
Recanting the motion on Tia and elevating Joseph.
We can't have 7. We can have 6. It's a wonderful thing to have a full board.
Okay.
Oh, I got you.
And number 3 is approval of the agenda as presented.
I'll approve, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented.
Do we need to move Coleman's Pit update to the end?
I did. I put it down number 11. You'll see at the bottom.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, I saw it
Yeah,
up
that's all
top.
right.
It's a double entry.
Perfect.
Number 4 is approval of the June 4th, 2025, and the June, public and the June 4th, 2025, non-public.
Mr. Chairman, we had a motion and a second, but no vote on the agenda. We didn't vote on the agenda. I
Oh,
asked
we
a
did?
question before you could ask
Oh,
for a
okay.
vote. We had a motion and a second, but no vote.
And approve the agenda as presented.
Aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Approval of the minutes of the June 4th public meeting and the June 4th non-public meeting.
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
For the first set. The second set, I'll make that change, Adam.
Yeah, but we have, is that motion on the public meeting?
Let's do the public meeting first.
We have
Mo-
motion.
Motion.
Motion been made and seconded
Paul and Carl. Yep.
to approve the June 4th public
Regular meeting minutes.
Right.
regular meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And now, and I'm unfamiliar how to do this, so you can,
They're made public. The minutes were made public, so it's just like the other minutes.
okay,
So there's a change, because I used Linda's form, she gave me this form for starting now, I left selectmen on her form, I used her form, so you have to make, I just have to take off the word selectmen per Adam.
Yes, I asked her to update up at the top, it says selectmen present,
I
it should just say
present,
members present.
you're all
Okay.
selectmen.
and so you're just making the notice of the,
I'm just removing the word selectmen. You're not,
Up top.
sorry.
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve them as amended.
I'll second it.
A motion's been made and seconded to approve the non-public minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 5, see if we can get through one agenda item correctly, is public comment. Hearing no public comment, I will close the public comment period. Number 6 is new business, case number 2504, subdivision of land High Acres Enterprise LLC by its agent Bergeron Technical Services LLC for property located off Forest Pine Road, tax map 233, lot 58-1, for a 5-lot subdivision consisting of 4 small lots ranging in size from 2.15 acres up to 2.31 acres and having frontage along Forest Pine Road. The 5th lot being the remaining portion of the parent parcel containing 42.3 acres. All proposed lots have a minimum of 200 feet of frontage on Forest Pine Road. Who do we have presenting this?
Hold on, certifieds were done on June 17th, here to the posting part. That on the 17th, posted at the post offices and posted in the Conway Daily Sun on June 19th. Now you can go.
And all the fees have been paid?
Yeah, everything's good.
And who is presenting?
Good evening, Kate Richardson, Bergeron Technical Services. I am here representing High Acres Enterprises tonight. If I may, give you a quick overview
Yes.
since we last met.
Yep.
The changes are minor to our preliminary review, however, we did keep in mind the issues that were presented by the board. This design provides 200 feet of frontage along Forest Pines Road for the remainder lot. We end up, I've given you the bigger blow up here, but I also have the larger one. Over here in this area, we end up with a kind of a boot shape to give it that sufficient area here along the frontage, give it a good amount of depth right here, and then keep that 100-foot wide access to this bigger lot back here. Minor changes to the lots to kind of compensate for that 200 feet along the frontage. All lots comply. And then similarly, in terms of the areas, they had to be finagled a little bit to account for this area here coming out of lot 4. They still all comply, including removal of areas, wetlands, slopes in excess of 33%.
I'm lost because it looks like lot 1 still only has 178 feet of road frontage.
Lot 1 has, over here, total road frontage of 233 feet.
Okay, it just looks like right here is only 178.
Lot 4.
I'm sorry, lot 4,
Yep,
not
lot
lot
4.
1, that was on me.
And lot 4 has 202 feet, and here's where the difference is a little bit right here on the curve.
Okay.
So that curve is set off to the side for clarity, the information
Oh,
on
okay,
that.
thank you,
So the A distance is the arc distance along the road.
perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
We did chase down with our attorney whether easements were allowed in subdivision and as subdivision density, and it was her opinion that they are.
Okay, wonderful news for us.
So, in the
And
past.
I very much appreciate you taking the time to
Yeah.
hunt that down. Thank you.
Thank you for getting creative with the geometry and getting the road frontage.
Of course, and, you know, understanding the board's concerns, and talking to you guys, the preliminary, meeting was very helpful, and, you know, going back and discussing with our clients the reasons. I do think we're all kind of happier with this design. This will allow, for better and easier access, for folks who would like to enjoy the, land out back if and when it does go into conservation.
In this, the parent lot will become part of the,
Provided everything goes swimmingly and we can get everything ready in time for Upper Saco Valley Land Trust, they are in a purchase and sales with the property owner to purchase that back parent parcel. We have demonstrated that it is a buildable lot in the event it does not go into conservation.
What part of the lot is buildable? Is it the frontage on the road?
Yeah,
That
so
part
the
of it.
front, the front part of the lot is, of the lots are the most buildable. Lot 1 does have wetlands,
Mm-hmm.
towards the frontage. So we've demonstrated a 4K area and putting the well closer to the middle back of that property.
Okay.
Michael has a question.
Well, let's get the board and then
Oh,
we'll get, any other board questions? So there'll be a deeded easement through that lot?
That deeded easement exists.
Oh, it does?
That easement is for the lot to the south of this one, and that is located in the deed to the current owners of this parcel. It did not appear on any previous subdivisions or plans that have been submitted to this board, but it is within the deed of lot 58.1.
Any other board questions? Hearing no other board questions, I would like to open the public comment part of this public hearing. I ask that when you speak, that you announce who you are.
Mr. Chairman, Mike Moser from Pine Hill Road. If that sale fails on the conservation easement side, does that open up another can of worms with that deeded easement going through that piece of property for further development within that piece of property by approval of this subdivision?
Yeah, I don't get that.
By approving the subdivision
Yeah,
and allowing that lot with the frontage and everything with the deeded easement, if the conservation sale fails, then Mr. Crowe has the approved subdivision already. Does that open up an access point for him to put a private road in with a cul-de-sac with further lots on that piece of property?
his current right would be to build 1,000 feet of road. And if this occurs, his right would be to build 1,000 feet of road from Pine Hill Road. It's pretty much an undevelopable lot, currently, would be my opinion. But it won't give him any greater ability to subdivide beyond 1,000 feet. Any other questions?
Hi, Richard Ventura, Pine Hill Road. This may not be the right forum, so please tell me if it's not, but I just have some concerns about the topography in that area and the upcoming paving of that road. And I wanna make sure that all the precautions are taken, that they're not gonna do any damage to a newly paved road, running heavy machinery over it. And let's face it, the condition of that road today is the result of less than adequate drainage in that area. And so I just wanna make sure that all of that is being addressed and that we're not having to fight this later on.
Yeah, anyways, Sean would like to say something.
Sean Bergeron, I'm a resident of Forest Pines Road, but also I'm one of the owners of Bergeron Technical. One of the things that has happened in the past few days, I'm gonna lower everything in here. Is this okay? Okay. One of the things that has happened in the past few days is Madison DPW has removed most, if not all, of the culverts that had caused the drainage problem, specifically on Mr. Littlefield's property.
Yeah.
And redirected drainage on Forest Pines now from the westerly side to the east. So Forest Pines, when it's reconfigured and repaved, all the drainage issues that most of us have suffered from there should probably go away. The drainage that used to go onto these parcels is no longer there at all.
Now it's coming across the road to my land.
That's where they directed it. But I don't know, and I'm sorry.
Carl Hager, I live right off Lanes Road.
I think, Carl, that area, because I drove up there today, where they put that stone swale,
Yeah.
I think that's still in the right of way, but it is at the base of your property. There's no doubt
Right,
about it.
but what I'm saying is they directed all the water to stay on my side of the road now, instead of going across
the other side of the road now.
Yeah, I'm the one who used to catch it all.
Right, right.
I had 6 to 8 inches of water come up in my yard, I know.
Mike?
So another couple combinations of questions on the paving and the water side of things, of the further development of Colby Hill Road with drainage wise and water. We saw what that did with water, so we started opening up trees and that kind of stuff. And then back to the brand new pavement side of things, now you're opening up 4 construction lots, that's a minimum of 12 concrete trucks, minimum. Dump trucks, excavators, additional. Yes, I understand contractors are held to bond roads or liable for any damages, but when was the town last hold a contractor liable on damaging any roads? So that road's been 20-something years without being paved. I've been up there 9, and it's needed it for all of that to be paved. Now we're finally getting new pavement to possibly next year have it damaged by trucks going over it constantly. And we don't know where that drainage is really gonna run water, just because they directed it differently with the dirt, the pavement crown and different things. It can go different directions. Water's gonna seek its own level, however it wants to go. So that's all unknowns that we don't know at this point and could cause issues.
We did make the developer on Colby Hill do some off-site improvements.
Yeah, but
Enough to the point that I got, G. Reno made a comic of me in the Daily Sun.
but that was after the fact, costing down how much to repave and how much for the state to refigure 113. And how much delay did it do to everybody's personal life daily?
Yeah.
To have to go around.
So,
And that's a dead end road, there's no way around. When you get up in there, if that road washes out, there's no access. Other than that one road.
So what reassurance do we have that the work that the town has done is correct?
you're looking at the wrong board right now. They haven't even got the winter potholes out of my roads, so.
Right,
I
but
think
when
they
when
do their best.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but there are companies that will survey it and tell you what should be done. Has that been done?
Yes.
And are we following?
And yes, we have done that survey, and yes, it exists somewhere in this building, and, though that's beyond my pay grade, whether anybody reads it and looks at it, but there has been that plan done.
So all of this we live right here. So this is that road.
I guess the existing road that goes up to the railroad tracks, that will stay for future or whatever,
Yes.
or conservation or whatever.
So that essentially is a private road?
It's private to the point of conservation land, it's privately owned, it will be, that property is owned by whoever owns the
The bigger
parcel.
parcel, yeah, the one out here.
The hope is that Upper Saco Valley Land Trust will be the future
I
owner of that
thought
parcel.
they already owned it.
That's what I
They do
thought
not.
too.
That's what we were told, that they bought it.
They have a purchase and sales on the section that is being subdivided off, the larger parent parcel. So that is not a public road, it never has been, and it's part of the property, but as conservation land, I'm sure if and when Upper Saco Valley Land Trust takes ownership, they will encourage people to enjoy the lands that are accessed off of that.
That's one.
This is the 42.
Can I put a toll booth up?
You can certainly, talk to the town, I don't know if the planning board will wanna take up that one, but
So essentially, if the conservation purchases this, that will just stay as land and no further buildings back here?
yes, yep, it'll have a conservation easement on it, I believe the town is helping place a conservation easement on it, but it will be under the ownership of Upper Saco Valley Land Trust.
And I'm betting that Upper Saco Valley Land Trust lets less vehicle traffic in there, so.
I
can't
talked to
speak
them
to
and
that.
they said that.
I mean,
they
beyond the
open
parking,
lands.
beyond driving in there and park.
Oh,
You're not gonna be scooting down the power lines anymore.
Or more or less as for like access to the lake in the winter, you know, people use that, as far as like snow machines using the tracks to go back and forth, and that's kind of an out.
Well, the tracks are legal, that's the main corridor.
Right,
And we're just trying to
it's
get
getting
to
to it.
Well, you shouldn't have a problem coming to your property,
Right.
down that dirt road, you shouldn't have a problem.
Mm.
If they do, come through my yard,
Appreciate it.
I got a trail right out there. We can solve that problem.
Okay, Mike?
Is it customary to consider curvatures of roads for road frontage? Is that a normal consideration to account for the curvature of the road to be part of the road frontage?
The driveway to be part of the road frontage?
For each individual lot, you have to have the 200 feet of road frontage.
Yeah,
Is it customary to consider the curvature as part of that
yes, yeah,
200 feet?
yeah, like on the cul-de-sac.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then my other question is the site distance for each of those lots. Because if you top over in the middle of the winter, coming down over, and it's slippery, and somebody's pulling out of one of those driveways, it's not gonna end well. It's gonna be a public safety matter.
And driveway permits?
We do not have driveway permits for those lots. They have not been applied for.
They haven't applied for driveway permits.
Not
so-
for the proposed lots, no.
Now, does the town have to go up and approve them? Cause they approve, when I put mine in,
Yeah.
it had to be approved, my driveway.
That they do, but
Yeah.
if the town can't even approve a driveway permit, what's the point of the subdivision of selling it as a house lot?
I know we have line of sight regulations for side roads, but not for driveways, I don't believe.
Oh, no, cause when I put mine in, they told me I had to be so far down from that corner.
So,
Yeah, yours is,
I was gonna say, there should be a line
yours
of
is a
sight
good
off driveways.
entrance to
Right,
get into.
yeah, but they had to come out and tell me, because of coming down the hill, cause the curve's right there, I had to be so many feet from that curve.
okay. That would be more of the DPW's job.
Cause they had to come up and they approved it, I was there when they come up and they approved it.
I understand that's part of their job, but, I mean, all that starts at the board's decision tonight.
We'll find out.
So, that's why I'm just voicing that concern on that is,
Yeah.
because yes, that's the DPW's job to approve a driveway and not approve a driveway. But you're approving buildable house lots for the plan of being sold, and then that puts things down the road in a predicament of, now the town feels like they have to work with somebody to make a driveway put in there because
And have you looked at the potential of driveways?
We have not.
Sean?
If I may, in the different municipalities that Kate and I and Laurel I work in, there are some municipalities that the regulations say you're going to obtain driveway permits as part of this process before. Madison does not. So, I mean, it is what it is. Frankly, I know Forest Pines Road, I've only been there now for most of my life. And the good thing about this is if these lots were to be configured on the opposite side of the road, say Carl on your side, the site distance is significantly more critical. Where it's on the outside of the curve in both directions, site distance becomes less critical. Michael's got a point. I mean, it certainly is gonna have to be something that's taken into consideration. But if you say to me from an engineering perspective, is this impossible or dangerous, I'm gonna tell you it's not.
And who wants to speak now?
Which one? Go ahead. I'm Lorelei Gerard. I work for Bergeron Technical Services. I'm also the land surveyor who surveyed the entire property. I had control stations that I used to locate and do topography, and I positioned my control points in the ability to have safe site distance. And with 200 feet of road frontage and that 200 feet, you should be able to place a driveway with the proper site distance.
I ain't worried about it, cause I got plenty of trees before they hit me.
Ann Virgin, 394 Forest Pines Road. The biggest concern I think that I have is, as an abutter, and I'm across the street, is just the density of this development and the changes that that's going to place within Forest Pines Road. I understand that further down towards 113, it is, you know, that there's several lots within that distance. You know, we've been afforded, obviously, within that area to be fairly, you know, larger parcels. And I guess that's my biggest concern, being that it will be right down the street from me and across the street from me, is that the density of housing with that many lots in that small area.
That's what our regulation requires.
Right, no, I understand that, I just wanted to voice my opinion of, you know, that's where I just feel that it takes away a little bit from the neighborhood
Yeah.
of having, you know, the larger lots within that area, and it continues, you know, quite a ways up the street, that there are larger lots,
Yeah.
so.
Michael?
What benefit would the 4 lots add to the area and to the town? Is there a benefit to adding four lots to this area?
I mean, we're in a critical housing crisis, and I think the important thing to remember here is we hear all your concerns, but as a board, we have to vote on the legality of it when it comes to our zoning. And I haven't seen anything on this plan that says that it doesn't meet our criteria, including the driveway access. We don't require it ahead of time. I understand the concern, but if we vote no based on that, we're liable for getting sued because we said no on a basis that we don't have.
Other than character of the town going back to the master plan development.
Correct, but we have zoning in place for 200 feet of road frontage and 2 acre minimum lots based on that idea.
Sean?
Mr. Chairman, if I might, this is an unusual situation for me because other than when I subdivided my own property, I've never affected myself as much. So, I mean, this is gonna affect the Bergerons as much as probably anybody else in the neighborhood. But one thing, looking at a big picture and away from this for the moment, everybody in this room needs to be cognizant, Mike, and I know what you're saying, but there is a wicked push in the state of New Hampshire about housing. And our dear legislature in Concord is threatening every single municipality and saying, if you do not allow reasonable development, and this is reasonable because it meets our specifications, they are going to mandate a lot size of 1/2 acre. And no municipality is gonna be able to fight that. Madison, if we look around the Mount Washington Valley, Madison has more restrictive regulations than most. We're protecting ourselves fairly well, but we have to be careful to what level we protect ourselves, because like the ADU, the accessory dwelling units, Concord forced that on us a few years ago without choice. That was their first step at increasing housing. If these municipalities, and Madison's not the only one, if these municipalities that have strict development regulations and large lot size and lots of street frontage, if we don't start being a little more careful about providing opportunity for housing, Concord's gonna say to us, 1/2 acre lot size, and that's all you can do about it. So be aware of that.
We did that whole workforce housing thing, and we have workforce housing in our subdivision regulations. And we also have like, how many, 600, 800 substandard lots in this town.
Right.
So we have a lot of small lots.
We have that, and the other thing too is, I mean, for people, anybody here who has built a house in the last 10 years, I keep telling people, you know, it's not the land that's the problem, it's the fact that a sheet of plywood would cost you $100, that's the problem.
Yes. I have this big project in North Conway that's 9 feet by 15 feet, and it's gonna cost me $50,000, and there are 2 walls. It's like, oh, it's impossible. Yeah, affordable housing is a myth. Anyways, we're not gonna solve that one tonight.
I think, could we suggest making the driveway, fork like having 2 driveways in Fork because a driveway can service 2 lots? Or is that like beyond what we do anyway? It's just an idea.
I would think that's something the applicant could have asked for, but I think to sort of impose that on them is probably beyond our authority.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Let's see, any other public comment? Hearing no other public comment, I'm going to close the public comment period. Any other board discussion? Questions? Problems? I have one question. It has nothing, it really has nothing to do with this application, it has something to do with the previous application. Is, what was that about with that little lot you were trying to do?
A paper road, essentially, a right of way that would
Yeah.
be under a separate parcel. In the event in the future that, a requirement came in that they had to build a road, they would have that there. It was really to avoid having to have 200 feet of frontage along Forest Pines Road. I think this design is better for that lot, in that it gives you a little bit more space along the road, for them to, figure out how to create access for people to enjoy the conservation land.
Okay. Any other board questions? Anyone want to make a motion?
I would make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we approve the design and the lots as presented.
I'll second it.
A motion been made and seconded to approve this subdivision as presented. Any further discussion? And I guess I will take a second out to ask the applicant, what are your aspirations as far as getting this signed? Because you don't have it ready.
No, we are fully aware that it is not 100% signable at the moment.
Okay,
We did not submit a Mylar. We are still awaiting state subdivision approval.
okay,
And we were waiting to see if there were any changes the board might request to the plan.
okay.
We will get the final plans to the town of Madison and expect it to
And
be,
so this will be pending state subdivision approval.
yes.
I make an amendment to the motion, Mr. Chairman, to include that language.
And then you come back next month?
We can submit Mylars for signature out of session, or we can submit the Mylar for signature at the next meeting.
And what is the board's pleasure?
The only thing that's gonna change on this plan is we will add the subdivision approval number from the state.
Do you,
I don't see a problem signing it out of session.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, so a motion been made to.
can I just ask one quick question? Not relevant to the motion necessarily, but will lot 4 have deeded access to this easement at all?
No.
Okay, thank you. So,
A motion's been made and seconded to approve this subdivision contingent on state subdivision regulations and with the approval of the chair being able to sign it out of session for the applicant. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor vote aye.
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 Opposed? Vote no. The ayes have it.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Just figured I'd let you know.
Yes, you're Mr. Littlefield also. Used to be a neighbor on Forest Pines a few years ago.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, the big yellow house.
Okay. Oh, the next on our agenda is Slam with a headline of you.
Thank you. Very briefly, I mean, we've had 2 meetings of the, it's actually the Watershed Management Committee meeting. That was passed at the town meeting. And we've had 2 meetings, working with the state, we put out an RFQ to a list of
Hang on
engineering
one
firms.
second, please.
If you guys could sit outside, that'd be great.
We sent out to a list of engineering firms provided by the state, an RFQ. We got back 3 replies. We went through and graded those based on the merits of each engineering firm. We have chosen a firm, F&B out of Dover, and they have done 65 of these watershed management programs, 42 in the state of New Hampshire. So they're pretty well versed in what we're looking for, what we need to do and so forth. And we're at the point now where we hope to hear back from them in the next week or so that they're willing to work with us. So I think that's it in a nutshell.
Great.
And what's the timeline?
It's gonna be 3 years before this is totally wrapped up.
Oh, okay.
Hoping to get some of the field work done this summer. If they say they can come and work with us, they'll do some of the other work over the winter and then into it next summer. I should have looked at that. I might be a little bit wrong. We gave them a deadline of August 27, I'm sorry, so it's 2 years. But they came back and said, we can't really meet that schedule, there's enough to do, but we can do it for you by December of that year. And I mean, they were straightforward with us, came forward and said, hey, you know, we can do it, but if you want it really done right, we need to work within this time frame. So.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Old business is voluntary merger rehearing, which will be next month. And do you know if they plan to bring attorneys?
Haven't heard a word. Nothing.
That's good.
I don't have to renotice them or anything. I had to renotice them the first time. I had to send them a notice, but I confirmed that I don't have to do that this time, because they asked for the continuance.
Okey doke. Coleman Pit update, I assume, is going to
At number 11, yeah.
happen when I leave. Master Plan Steering Committee update. What do we have from Kia?
Good. We had a great meeting, and we have our live survey. So thank you for approving our outreach plan on that. So the link is live, folks. You take the survey. We're listening, and we want the feedback of our community members. So hopefully we'll get a diverse inflow of answers, and we can use that to help us steer the vision for our plan. We also have reached out to different boards in the community because we have so many different leaders in the steering committee. We're able to more deeply evaluate the needs of the boards in our town. So that's a good opportunity for us. And that also includes the planning board. So I had Kate, thank you for sending out the visioning prompt and the planning board brief prompt. So that's something that I wanted to make sure with our new members, we all have the opportunity to fill that out and give our feedback for the overall master plan. vision section. So what I'm asking, and you guys can decide, is do you want to fill out everything together, or do you want to have Paul, Mark, and I take the visioning prompts after we filled that out? Sorry, you have to do that part, and then we can draft the brief for the planning board and kind of bring it back to you, or we can all have working sessions as a board and fill that out.
Well,
Small stuff.
This is my first opportunity to, review some of that material and everything. And I found it to be, while it was very interesting, it was also a bit overwhelming. It's like, good grief, I have to.
A lot to digest.
A lot of
Yeah,
reflection,
so,
yeah.
First of all, I wanna say, with all sincerity, that it was a very thorough project. But I don't know if I could answer every one of those questions. I may be able to answer select ones, but not every single one.
That's okay.
But I think by making it available to everyone, getting that kind of input would be good. So I'd personally be much more comfortable with kind of
A group discussion.
yeah, a group session, getting the overall information and then kind of digesting it from there,
Okay,
but absolutely very thorough.
okay, thank you. Thank you for that feedback too. I know it is a lot, and I am asking for quite a bit of reflection from every board in the town. So I know it's a lot of work, and I think that by giving it out to everybody first too, you can kind of take it, jot some notes down, and then we can come back together and kind of make a shared vision statement just for our board, and move from there, if that.
And you don't have to
Sounds
answer every question.
Yeah, you don't have to do everything. That's fine. You can skip.
Is that the SAT where you shouldn't answer the question you don't know or something?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I would just, I guess, ask everybody to fill it out on your own, and then we can come back and, like you said, digest it together and see what comes out of it in a working session. NCC, yes. Do you want to go?
No, you can go ahead. You're doing a great job.
All right. So we have Evelyn Welton on our steering committee. She is also a part of MWB Housing. And she volunteered to talk to North Country Council's Michelle Morin-Gray, and Michelle came back to us with a full proposal to help us with our master plan, with a a la carte kind of like package of different services that they offer, so we could kind of take their help in some ways, or we could choose to like go with a full two-phase package that they came up for us. But basically, we would like to have Michelle come and talk to the planning board and the steering committee together. They've done so many of these for the North Country, different towns, different regions. So they're a great resource for us. So we feel like we were allotted some funds from the town, and we don't believe that we're gonna have to print, $10,000 worth of paper master plans to collect dust. We can kind of host it on the website and have it as a living document that's very easy for people to use as a resource. So we're kind of hoping to maybe transfer some of those funds and maybe push it toward the completion of this, even though we know it's going to take a long time, hoping that we can call in some reinforcements and see what see what they have to offer. So we would need approval.
And so she's gonna
Yeah.
come, August sixth at
6
6
p.m.
p.m.
Yes.
And you're all welcome to come and listen to her proposal.
Yeah. What do you
her-
guys think?
The written proposal seems very good.
Yep.
And thorough, and they have expertise in doing this, which I think
Yeah.
will be very good.
Especially in the land use and planning sections. It would help our board directly, and because the master plan is about deciding and like making a cohesive land use plan for the entire town, it may be helpful for it not to just fall on us to, you know, decide that and then also roll it out. They help with zoning, any policy changes that, you know, occur, may or may not occur, but, yeah. And they also
Particularly
draft
after
it.
just listening to Sean say that
Yeah, it's huge, it's huge.
the state's gonna force us to increase density whether we want to.
I mean, they are, yeah, they are, for sure. They've already passed bills that are doing that, not to freak everybody out, but
I just
I was aware of that too.
did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
don't
It's
see
big.
that much developable land.
It's the way that they're changing, it's the way that they're changing how we are allowed to rule and zone.
Setbacks to wetlands, steep slopes?
I don't think about that,
No,
but yeah.
I don't trust too much of what goes on south of town.
I always take my passport anytime I go south of Tamworth.
In bottom line, and I don't know if they knew the answer to the question before they did this thing, is bottom line, their proposal is,
I think the total's 50,000.
is 30,000.
That's for phase two. I think you look at the top, the total for phase one is 24. So you're looking at 54,000 for both phases,
So,
Yeah.
if I'm reading it correctly.
Yeah, and we are still trying to do much of the legwork ourselves. We have a great committee,
so
just saying. But they're fantastic people, and they're all leaders across town. So I know that they have a huge stake in what product they turn out and we turn out. But I also understand how busy they are, and I'm asking a lot of them. And like you said, it's overwhelming. It's a big project. To have some help and guidance, I think it would be worth what the town allotted us to like give it a go. And even if we do have to pick and choose some things, and maybe we can kind of drive the price point down, or ask them to sharpen their pencils on a couple of things. But
And I forget,
I don't know, I
how
think
much
we
did
should
we put
listen to
away
it.
at town meeting? Did we put anything away at
Yeah,
this? I can't
25.
remember.
Yeah.
It was
25.
25, that's what I thought, okay.
yeah,
so,
And I think this is what we talked about in the beginning, about looking for somebody to give us some help. We had a planner come in and sit down with us, and he talked a little bit about it, but these people seem to be more involved and much more developed, and would be a lot more help than if we did it the other way, the way Conway did it.
yeah,
With a
yeah.
planning, outside planning firm, that I think I charged them $100,000 to do.
Yeah.
So, I think this is the right direction.
Okay.
you.
So that would be August 6th at 6. And, so that's where we're on at that, and everybody fill out their visioning thing, and, you don't have to answer every question,
yes.
but where you have good ideas, write them down.
I will try to follow the visioning thing ahead of time. As you know, I will not be here August 6th
Okay.
or
Right.
September, and Cheryl, I think, is going with me.
She did say, yes, yes. Very nice.
I'm gonna do your homework in advance.
August 6th is s'mores night across the street during Old Home Week too. So maybe we can draw a crowd.
It's,
S'mores night.
Oh,
oh,
Home Week.
oh, Or we could call that dinner.
Yeah, maybe we should do that.
I went out to my truck thinking that there was some food out there and there's none.
No.
Okay, chairman's report. I don't believe I have anything to report. Number 9 is selectmen's report.
Nothing to report.
Number 10 is correspondences, which we have a letter from Pike.
Well, I recant my previous statement. We did get approval for Tia to be the planning board's member on the CIP committee. However, we don't have a member from the budget committee yet, so it'll probably be another month or two before the CIP committee meets. And I'm not sure who's gonna reach out at that point. We're waiting for the budget committee to meet again to pick a member.
Great, thanks.
And so Pike said essentially that they don't know what they wanna do. They wanna tell us to tell them. And they are not currently excavating.
In the other piece of land, he said, and when they do excavate that, they'll let us know, and they'll be open to discussion about a bond amount.
I've gotten it in my email, so.
So I guess the question is, are we satisfied with with the bond that's there now, the $10,000, or we want to ask them to increase it based on their current operation?
And our attorneys said,
I didn't send this to her, I haven't sent.
and their bond is now, what, $9,800?
10,000, but they're not doing any activity on it right now, so it's just, I mean,
But the activity they're doing is on the picture that they presented in the letter. Seems everything in yellow is what they're working on now. And the future work is outlined in red and called Kennett property. And there seems to be 2 parcels.
Mhm.
he told me there's been nothing going on, that's what he told me.
And how long is the bond for?
I get those yearly.
Oh,
They
huh.
come in from Liberty Mutual yearly.
The question is, I bring up a question, is it something that we should go down to have a site visit and view their site before we close this out and decide not to do anything?
Is your concern that they might be estimating and telling us they're not?
Well, I would think they're upfront about it, but, you know, we did that once with,
Right.
with Coleman. Down and looked at it, and, they were doing stuff, and after that, they stopped doing it.
Is the purpose of the bond is to just cover for any possible damages, or?
It's more if they leave the site and don't
Yeah.
close the site.
Incomplete, yeah.
Which,
I think, I guess my concern would be, especially when they say mining, is that, yeah, they're gonna tear up all this property, and if it turns out to be not lucrative for them, and they just walk away from it, a $10,000 bond doesn't seem, in my humble opinion, doesn't seem to be able to cover the amount of damage that would be there. Look what happens when we wash out a road. what's that cost us?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's what we're, as a board, trying to decide whether 10 is enough, or we should have more, or,
I might be mistaken, but what Paul has said in their letter, they're excavating these two areas right now. We gave them the terms of the bond previously when they started in there. They say they could continue work in these areas in red and do more. I think that a site visit might be worthwhile, so we know how much they've done. And, I mean, in my mind, it's kind of hard to go in and change the rules in the middle of the game. So to change the bond for that section and what they're doing could be difficult. But if they do anything further or anything else, then yes, we need a realistic bond, not an unrealistic one.
Well, again, $10,000 is probably like 25 cents
Yeah, it's a drop in the
to
bucket.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna cover potential damages.
And it's not, but if they're not excavating or mining in there at this point.
I don't
can we do
think they're
anything?
mining at all.
Right, well, that was their terminology, right?
In the red, they're not.
Did they
Right.
ask for an extension on the bond too, like $10,000 for the next 10 years or something like that, or no?
And isn't there language as far as like reclamation of the,
Excavated site.
yeah,
So what it would be to come in and to put vegetation back so you're not gonna get erosion. And, you know, this is the first time I've seen a map of the site. It looks like a fairly good sized operation down there. So, you know, and looking at it and like Joe said, at $10,000 is not gonna go very far.
I have a question. The bond we currently have is only for the two Kennett properties that are,
No, I think the bond we currently have is for where there would be the piece next to 113 where they're,
Excavating,
where they are excavating.
yes.
and where their batch plant is.
Right.
So if that's the bond we're holding, and
So-
if they do something else, we can go in for a substantial bond. That would mean something, right?
Right.
Either that or say, hey, if you need
No,
you need to reclaim.
My point is, their letter is saying that the bond isn't for this, it's for these two properties.
Right, because they had,
Yeah.
on their letters, when they were sending them to us, they had the wrong map and tax lot numbers.
So the bond in question is for these two parcels here, not this. And they're not excavating it, so they wanna know why we wanna increase the
Right.
bond. If we're talking about this parcel, that's one thing, but we're not. We're talking about these two, and if they're not excavating it, like Paul said, we need to go out and double check. But if they're not, then there's no reason to increase
I
the
would
bond.
think the bond is for the area that they're excavating.
No, it's the
And
red
that's why I'm
with the
questioning,
sun.
because-
The ones in red, the square, the ones that, this map, they're doing zero excavation right now. On the Kennett properties.
They're excavating on
They're
Kennett?
not.
They're
on the Kennett
not.
properties, no.
They can't get that.
Right, it says, as we discussed, the parcels that are covered by the bond in question have not been entered for mining activities at this point.
I find that hard to digest because they've been doing this for how many years?
Right,
And the bond has been in place for several years.
do they have two separate bonds? One for that
I
forward
don't
parcel?
think they have an
Doesn't sound like
excavation
it.
permit on the Kennett property.
Right, and they're saying that the bond is for that property, well, why would they pull a bond if they didn't pull an
Right.
excavation permit?
I don't agree with that. I think the bond is for where they're excavating now, where
Which
they're
is up.
currently working.
So we need clarification on what the current bond is for.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, I gave
Do we
it
have
to
a
them.
cup?
I mean, I gave them everything.
Do you have it with you?
Bond, yeah,
Can I look?
get it back to me.
I-
But I keep everything together here, so you can have.
But it'd probably refer to old map and lots.
Right, it probably referred to the whole thing.
So when I read the other, yeah. That covers all of it.
It's not that here.
That's not enough.
I don't think so.
Tax map 16, lot 18-1.
We don't have any references to what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On this. Which lot it is.
Can you find it on there faster than I can?
Oh, it's incomplete.
Maybe we could ask them for a survey plan to identify the lots that they're working on. I would think that would be something that they would have. You don't
How
think
old is that pond?
Oh,
It's like, I should know this in my head, because I remember when they built that bridge, that they needed wetlands permit, and I was on the Conservation Commission. It is not a bridge, there's abutments on either side of the stream, and there's steel
This
I-beams
one's
going across.
dated January 3rd, 2025.
And so to cross that stream, you have to walk across this I-beam.
Yeah, everything here
I
is
think that
dated
was renewed, wasn't it,
Yeah.
at that point in time?
January 3rd, 2025 is when it was renewed. That's the only date that's on here.
But that was an incredibly long time ago. That had to be at least 40 years. So,
Will they come back next year and talk about renewing it again? And we could change it.
Is there a term on there, Adam? How long is good for?
and Kate, we
February
don't have
24th, 2026.
copies
A year.
of
Yeah, next February. Yeah.
of the state 155E excavation permits, because they don't have.
I'd have to ask Linda, because she handles all of that when they do their intents and all that stuff. So, I don't-
Because it'd be interesting to look at where their state permit is, because if they're not excavating there, they should recover. The state law would be they have to recover. They have to. I won't read 155E, but they should probably clean the site up.
So the tax map and lot number don't make any sense anyway, because it says map 16, which doesn't exist. Our maps start in the hundreds. If I'm not mistaken.
Within 12 months after the expiration date in a permit issued under this chapter, and we didn't issue the permit, or any other completion of any excavation, whichever occurs first, the owner of the excavation land shall have completed the reclamation of the area affected by the excavation. So maybe we should ask them to, maybe, who was it, whose idea was it to do a site visit?
Fine.
oh, oh.
Maybe we should do that.
Well, I guess it's
It's up in there. I don't know if that map has better map and lots.
well, this 211-1. It looks like it splits here. 1023 is
certainly within our statutory authority to
Mhm.
have a site visit, and if there's that much exposed dirt and they're not excavating, they ought to close it and reseed it and plant it.
Mhm.
I'm sure that's not what they, sure that's not the answer they were looking for, but certainly within our statutory requirement.
And
The-
I still, I think what still remains is where they're saying that they'd be happy to discuss an appropriate adjustment to the value of the bond. And you know, yes, I think it's, that we do need to verify that there has been no activity in those, in that kind of property that's outlined there. But also, I don't know how we determine this, if it's up to us to determine it, or maybe we have to go to council, but $10,000 is not adequate, in my opinion, to cover any damages that may be done,
Or restoration.
particularly, a restoration, if they abandon this for whatever reasons.
Well, it could have been established when they started the excavation back X number of years ago. And that, at that point in time, that might have been appropriate.
Yeah,
Right, but if they're not excavating now, we can't ask for a larger bond. But there's no
Well,
legal
but we
precedent.
can ask them to reclaim the
Reclaim.
site.
Right, if they're done, yeah.
If they're not excavating, we can ask them to reclaim.
I want,
It looks like they
can you
haven't
get
done any.
clarification on the map and lot though? Because map 16 must be from an old plan.
He said map that they gave us was incorrect all along.
That says map 16, lot 18.
Right,
Our
that's,
maps start in the 100s.
Mm.
yeah, I don't know where they got that. That's why he came to me, because I was confused, I couldn't figure out what maps I said, you gave them to us.
Could have gone back before zoning.
Well, they changed this was probably before zoning, but they changed the map and lot. And it was before the state passed 155E, giving the town the authority.
Mhm.
We should find out exactly what map and lot that is, and see if there is either on a state level or a town level.
It's gonna be these four: 2075, 2074, 211-1, and 102-3.
The big lots.
Yeah, these 4 lots. Judging by the picture they gave us, it's these 4 lots. This is that 4 lot that they're excavating now.
Mm.
And then these are the 2 or 3 behind it.
Mhm.
Do we know what the bond is for the ones that they're currently excavating?
That's the question.
That's the question.
Oh,
Because
that's what you're
that
asking.
map and lot doesn't make sense, so
Oh, okay.
we need to know really what that bond is for.
Right.
There's a bond number, but that bond number doesn't reference a map and lot that exists.
Okay, I see what you mean. Sorry, I was thinking it was the 2 behind it that are not being worked on.
But that's what the letter says. The letter says it's the bond for those other properties. But I find it hard to believe. That's what it is.
Are you saying that you don't think that there would be a bond on those properties
No.
at all?
Not until they do work on them.
Okay, thank you.
And like Mark said, they don't have a permit to do any excavation back there
Okay.
on those properties.
And we would be the regulator.
Right. You have to come to us to get the permit.
Whether we like it or not. So where are we going on this, folks?
I think we have to find out, understand where the lot that they're on, what they're excavating.
Yep.
And until we know that, I don't think we do a site visit.
So we need from Kate to get us verification
Yep,
of the map and lot number for
exactly.
that, for there.
Yep.
And then from there, move forward.
Right.
They own multiple lots in town. Can you confirm that that's the only bond that's active?
The only one I have, I get
Okay.
every year.
Yeah.
I bring it to the board every year.
Because they're, according to the assessing data, they own 16 or 17 different lots. And I'm assuming they're all
Right there.
right there.
Right there. Yeah, the way this is broken up, Adam, there's a lot of,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that to me looks like 2074 and 2075 is that upper Kennett section. And then 210.5 is that very back Kennett section. And 1023 is the forward section.
what is the one in the front, Kennett property?
So that upper Kennett property is 2074. And that
Okay.
further back looks like 210.5.
210.5,
And then 1023 would be the parcel behind Community Market.
okay,
That's what it looks like based on that map.
okay. Yeah, that parcel behind the community market is a good sized parcel.
And if they're not excavating, they ought to close the site.
No, but if they are excavating on 1023, which is what that letter alludes to, the bond has to be for that site, not the Kennett sites. We wouldn't have a bond on a site that doesn't have an excavation permit. I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
And then we remain in the same boat where 10,000 is not enough to reclaim that site either.
Kate, if you can help us out with that,
Okay.
Put it on the stack.
And all the yelling in between. Okay.
thank you.
Well, let's see, any other administration?
Kate wants to go home.
I can't go home yet, I still have to go and do some more work, on tonight. So we're gonna have to go into non-public, so.
Okay, we have to move to non-public.
But we're gonna adjourn this meeting first.
Pardon?
We're gonna adjourn this meeting first,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
if you're done.
Well, I think we need to go into non-public
Oh,
and then
yes,
come
I'm
back
sorry,
into
yes,
public to
you're right.
adjourn.
Sorry,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
we
That's
do.
what I was
Yes,
thinking.
yes,
We did
yes, I'm
before.
so sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay, Mark, you're excused, goodbye.
Who's making the
Come
motion? Who's making the motion to go into?
Hmm?
Who's making the motion to go into non-public?
Do you have a reference? Little L, little E,
Yeah, L,
little L?
yeah.
I'll make a motion to enter non-public per RSA.
91-A:3, 2L.
What Kate said.
Second,
Who's second?
I did.
all it.
Bye, Mark.
Do I need to go? Do I go?
No,
I'm
you're
not
good.
elevated.
You can
No, I
still,
need you to stay, Tia, on this one.
Okay,
even as an alternate, you can stay, you just won't be able to vote.
okay.
We need roll call?
Gears.
Yes, roll call. Adam, aye.
Paul Littlefield, aye.
Paul Marks, aye.
Joe Vienna, aye.
Donna Ample, aye.
Hold on. I gotta-
Carl Nordlund, aye.
Perfect. Okay. I don't see anybody. Do you want me to shut these, Kate? I don't see anybody out there.
Okay, we're into,
Let me just